Hi there, this is Vinamra Kasana. Welcome to Dostcast Clips. This is my shameless attempt at having you click on many clips until you're forced to watch the entire podcast. Subscribe and enjoy.
There is a growing trend of journalism and journalists being under attack by the regime. It's very clear that if you choose to be pliable and if you choose to report pro-government stuff, you will not be harmed. But if you choose to go against the government, then there will be consequences. A simple example is the BBC. The BBC shows that documentary which talks about Narendra Modi and his time as the Gujarat CM and how he failed to control the Gujarat riots. And what happens is the BBC documentary is banned, and immediately after we see raids on the BBC. I'm sorry. Why is that happening?
There was a witch hunt against them.
There is a witch hunt against independent media in general.
I'm not sure कि मैं अपना क्या opinion बनाऊँ उसके बारे में, because overwhelmingly my Twitter was filled with anti-BBC articles and it was very convenient. मतलब मेरे को उस टाइम पे ऐसा लगा हाँ BBC तो बेकार है ही. And now that I think I'm not sure, because I don't want to say something preliminary, because again I'll have to do my research, but right now I feel like I used to place a lot of trust in that as an institution, just as I would do in the Hindustan Times or any other legendary journalism outlet that you sort of look at as the gold standard of that particular domain. मुझे लगा कि हाँ यार ये तो बड़े एंटी इंडिया टाइप के लोग हैं, but that's what I saw on my Twitter. Like everyone was very against it, and everyone on both sides completely dismissed the documentary. अब I don't know कि वो कितना पीछे से propaganda था या क्या था, but
my problem is again BBC might be an example of this, but I think what we are now seeing is that any journalism that is critical of the government's policies, right, is very easily shut down by saying it is anti-India. Right? A piece of journalism that is anti-government is not anti-India, because the government is a government. It's an elected government.
It's not the country itself.
It's not the country. It's not an attack on the country. If this is the logic, then all of those scams that we saw during the UP era, everything, right, from the coal scam to the 2G scam to the CWG scam, were all of those attacks on India? No. Because at that point we saw the opposition, which is now the ruling party, the BJP, coming out and flashing the newspapers and saying, "Ye dekho kya kar rahe hain government." So those attacks, which were on the government, which were investigating the government's irregularities, were attacks on the government. They were not attacks on India. But now, when a journalist tries to do very similar work and investigates the government's policies, they're anti-India. I mean, how did this change? How did the definition of what is anti-India and what is anti-government change? ये कब हुआ? ये क्या new India में हुआ है? That is the question that we must ask. And I think it's fair to ask questions, very hard questions of media outlets like the BBC that you mentioned, right? I think as the readers, it is our duty and it is our right to be questioning them if we spot inaccuracies, if we spot propaganda, if we spot an agenda. But let's talk about the facts, right? Let's talk about it on the basis of what is a hard fact and whether it is accurate, whether it is not. Let's not tarnish anything, and I mean anything. It can be from any of the news organizations. But just because you don't like what the article's findings are or what you don't like about the documentary and its final findings, if you shut it down by calling it anti-India, it basically means there will be no critical journalism of the government, which is talking about the government's irregularities. I keep asking people, I said, what do you want? Do you want to live in a la-la land where the government can do what it wants? You'll never know any of it. And the only thing that you will get is WhatsApp messages saying ki ye ban gaya, wo ban gaya, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya. Is that the la-la land that the citizens of the country want to live in? I think the answer for me is very clear. The answer is no. I want to be an informed citizen. I want to know exactly what the government is up to, right? It's not anti-national to be asking questions of your government. It is our constitutional right as citizens.
अगर आपको ये clip पसंद आई, make sure you subscribe to Dostcast Clips.